hardware, software wasn't mature enough. And also, the killer application, the environment, mobile devices and wireless connectivity to the internet has become more popular in recent or around the year mid 2010 or so. And that really ignited the popularity of cloud. Okay, so from there, I think let's just do a very finish a high level terminology here. Everyone probably heard of the X as a service. X can be several things, but what are the X you know? The first one is the services. Services as a service. What did I say? Yeah, software as a services, right? So other X infrastructure as a service. Platform as a service. So those three, software, platform, infrastructure, those are initial set of services and foundation of the cloud services. And there are many others later that has appeared. So, sorry, I'm getting ready gradually. So you know the examples. I may at least it shouldn't be. It should be obvious, but yeah, I found that in the older times, students who have used all these cloud services couldn't really tell, is that infrastructure, is that a platform, or is that a software? There are some services that might be its classification may be at the boundary, but most of the times you should be able to tell whether this is a software as a service or platform as a service. Whether we call this as an infrastructure as a service, Google Drive or Gmail, you should be able to tell what kind of service, cloud service it is. So not just what it is, what the X is, but also what are the examples. I want you to know, I may ask you in the quiz or exam in the exam. So infrastructure as a service, these basic infrastructure component, the compute storage network, basic stuff that when we use that as a user, when they provide it as a resource, we call it as the infrastructure as a service. Platform, I said it's an overloaded word. It can be used in many different contexts, like politics in other areas. In our class, it means development framework, like database or Google App Engine. Software as a service is something you probably have used the most and must be very clear. Homework as a service, this was an extra fun, cartoon. With the generative AI, people use a lot of services from those the AI services. Some classes, I'm not discouraging you to use it altogether, but for our class purpose, do not use it. Like, I say summary of you do it yourself, right? I cannot really prevent you to do that, but you are responsible for the content. And if I can tell this is from the generative AI, you may be in trouble, okay? So not just the copying from other friends, but there could be other classes that it's more encouraging the use of generative AI, but all of the work we do in class, no. Okay. That's why I'm actually doing more multiple choice questions, unfortunately, rather than descriptive questions. By the way, speaking about the descriptive questions, the focus on the content and the quality, not the quantity, right? Some students are staying at the end of the exam time, which is fine, by just writing very irrelevant things, looking like working hard. That's not a good thing. Anyway, these are the major services. Infrastructure as a service. This is actually the first step service that was provided by the infrastructure cloud provider. So when they do data center hosting, well, like we'll see soon, the well, Amazon does say differently, but the other perspective, even though Amazon denies it, people say that Amazon bookstore started as a bookstore and had a lot of extra computing service available, and why don't we just rent it to others? That's it's a the not 100% is false. So it is there is some truth in that. The data center hosting, actually even ISPs, when they have this capacity available, not fully utilized, why do we rent it out? So that's the first evolution. And these are the basic infrastructure. Yeah, so infrastructure is also an overloaded word. In civil engineering, the roads, the transportation system, those are infrastructure. In our computer science, these are infrastructures. So from there, the basic resource, the first thing is that like providing machine entire like a server-like machine to the users, but virtually. We call that as a virtual machine, and that virtual machine user will have to install all the software out of the bare metal. So that's the first service. Then a lot of initial research in cloud computing. Our group also did that too. Is that and still it can be further improved. Here are a number of servers, resources available, storage amount. And here's a set of users with a diverse demand. How can you map this demand with the real resource? That the mapping is actually important optimization problem. A lot of research has been done, and that's a secret sauce of the providers. So a lot of providers there. Major public provider, they actually started with infrastructure and then gradually adding software. Some companies started as a software, many stay in this as a software as a service company, and some of them extended their service to infrastructure too. So either direction. I'm going back. So platform, right. So so infrastructure as a service, over time, it also has evolved the not just storage, but database. And database, different, the flavors, different kind of services too. Platform as a service, as I said, this is an app development framework. The major representative example is a Google App Engine, where you can build the business applications. So when people use a platform as a service, actually infrastructure as a service is also, the infrastructure is based on the provider's infrastructure, but they will pick and choose the platform. Yes.
Would Google Colab be included in platform as a service?
That's a very good question. So the boundary gets blurry, right? So it is actually platform mostly. You can say that, right?
Because we run our models on the Google's infrastructure, right?
Right. Yeah. So Google, they call it it's a development platform, but it's actually provided it's almost like a software kind of thing, but it would be more close to the platform as a service, and it runs on Google infrastructure. All of the examples these are running on their infrastructure, but they added value on the in the bare metal infrastructure. Salesforce is actually started as a software as a service company, but they are expanding. They have been expanding into the platform as well. So a lot of companies who use the CRM, the customer relation management, is that right? They will be using Salesforce platform, and a lot of other immediate services are additionally added, they customized for their business. Software as a service is an on-demand, software as you have experienced most of the times. TurboTax, Gmail, Google Doc, all kinds of things. So, once you have a software as a service, before as a software as a service, we users has to be really tech savvy, right? You always have to know, there is a new Microsoft Windows on iPad, this is the latest version, and then you have to install it, you have to figure out how to install it, and it wasn't that easy before. Now with the cloud-based system, you don't have to worry about the updates or installation. So in terms of software management, it's alleviated. So infrastructure, platform, software, so even software as a service company, some of them, they might actually use their some platform from different cloud, public cloud and infrastructure, hybrid, so the just focusing on software as a company and relying on other providers' platform infrastructure, that can be the case, or some provider provides software as a service on top of their own infrastructure and platform. But of course, software does sit or based on the platform that's developed and also infrastructure. We already talked about the public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud, and still let's go over that. We know pretty much what it is. This is a picture from Amazon, so they don't say public cloud, it's just a cloud. They think that the general public cloud is a public, but it can be on-premise. Well, this is also private cloud. So this is an Amazon picture. I am showing you, sorry, I have a lot of so these big companies are facing general audience, the consumers. So they avoid the technical terms as much as possible. So if this is actually basically Amazon like a public cloud, and there can be on-premise like UMKC data center private cloud, and there can be some institutions that uses both of them. So public cloud, what does that mean? So in academia, we want to be clear in the definitions as much as possible. So we know all the examples. How should not exactly necessary a definition, but what would be a differentiator between public and private cloud? What do you think?
Accessibility to general public.
Accessible, who can use it? Right?
Private cloud requires a private access, different access. Public cloud is available for everyone.
Okay, good. Who is it for, right? Excellent. Yeah. And
I have a question.
Correct. Yes.
So, suppose we say the drive, Google Drive is a software for a cloud.
It's actually storage infrastructure. But it's almost like a software we use it.
So
but it's basically it's infrastructure.
So, am I so I'm using that? Is it a public cloud or is it private one? The things I want to understand. What's the difference between the public and private?
That's a good question, and that's what we are talking about.
That is the question. Can we say that the drive that uses it for public?
That's a public cloud.
Okay.
Oh, so it's the
I'm searching for example in my head.
so
That's why I'm
example Google Drive, the Amazon, actually everything so every service is offered by Amazon, Azure, Google. Not every, I mean, yeah, at least you with your account, there's a public cloud.
Okay.
You can use it without any, I mean, you as a general public, right? Not necessarily you as a particular UMKC student or you as a federal government employer, right? And that resource is only for you. So here, any other comments actually? What do you think? Is that your name again? I'm sorry.
Abhi.
Yeah, Abi.
Abhi.
Abi.
ABH.
Yeah, Abi actually hit the core.
Yeah, in the public cloud, I think the resource is shared between the users,
Okay.
and the private cloud, it is just assigned to a particular
Dedicated.
person. Yeah, dedicated.
Yes. That's another really good point. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, resource is dedicated or not. That's good. Other comments?
One of the examples of a private cloud could be, say, UMKC has a cloud and it's only accessible to students of UMKC or faculty.
Right. Yeah. That's a private cloud example. So those are keys. It's not about where the resources are. Okay. It's not about who manages those resources. Okay. So that's a key. Who can use it? Well, if paying, general public, right? If general public can use it, it's called public cloud. Maybe owned, managed, operated by a business, academic. So it's not just the commercial company that runs it. You earned a lot of money, suppose, and you want to save the world and make the resource available to everybody. That will be called public cloud, right? You not for profit business, not maybe academic, not by any of these. So here is a maybe owned, managed, and operated by whom? Pretty much any, right? This means it doesn't matter who owns, who manages, who operates the resource. What about the location? Exists typically actually on the premises of the cloud provider. That's actually a typical thing. The Amazon services, the resource is in Amazon data center, right? And it was the cost for initial high. Private cloud is really about for exclusive use of a single organization or specific users, like UMKC. Okay, managed, owned, and operated by, maybe managed, operated by UMKC organization or third party or their combination. Our private cloud can be operated, managed, owned by Amazon. That's still called private cloud. It is about who can use it, who's it for. It can exist on or off the organization premise. The public cloud, you say, hey, public, if you pay money, you can use it, but they likely, they will keep it in their own data center. So it's typically on the cloud provider's premises. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense. But the premise, the location premise, doesn't have to be on the organization. So federal government, U.S. federal government, Department of Defense, they use partially, they have their own private cloud, but they also use public cloud, Amazon, probably they use a mixture of those. The Amazon Amazon will dedicate the resource, and the resource may be in the federal government facility, or outside, meaning their own data center. So the premise doesn't matter. We use the word on premise, off premise, meaning whether it's uh, the data center or resource is on the campus of the organization or not. So this doesn't matter. But later it could be actually when we say cloud computing, not just business, it's a lot of technology behind it. That's what we are interested in. And private cloud, in order to do that, if it's done all by one company, it's not so interesting. But if it's by the community, open source, and we want to have that technology, OpenStack, and all those things, those are really technology drivers. And it's not just one company; there are many companies, and there can be combinations of them. And there is another thing called the community cloud, not really private, not really public, but it's not really public means it's not for general public anybody, but less than one organization, you can call that as a community. And it is, again, look at this. The main distinction is who's it for the community. So there are examples like this. Genie is the next generation internet environment initiative. The facilitated by U.S. National Science Government, and it has been the many-year project now. So that has been the platform for the U.S. education and research, the institutions to do research and education, and there are also the recent investment from the companies, not the company, it's from the government. It's called the Cloud Lab. So there are multiple universities who got funded from National Science Foundation. They provide all these technologies, develop these technologies, evolve the technologies, and make it available for universities in the U.S. and maybe some outside of U.S. as well. So that's a community cloud. It's not for profit. It's not for one organization. It is for the community, research and education community. That's an example. It can be other, maybe weather forecast community. It might be doing that. So that's an example of community cloud. See again, the ownership, management, operation can be done by that one organization, third party combination, various. It can be done by various entities, and the location doesn't matter. Okay. And then hybrid cloud would be the combination of those the distinct the cloud infrastructure. So public, you saw that recent, not just this year, several years now, the trend is that most of the organizations use the hybrid cloud and multi-cloud, and that includes typically private plus public, and multi-public. And how do they use it together? It can be some like our university, we have a Google account too, all of you, and also so that has some separate drive, but we also have a box storage. That's a kind of separate interface, but for some application it can be integrated together, and that would be through standardized the API or prepare at least the compatible APIs between clouds, and oftentimes it's used for initially and now for the convenience and productivity as well. People use it for bursting or surge protection. Like we think that this is the provision, the average, maybe provisioning based on the average resource. And of course there will be peak and going burst of the usage. time, wow, there are a lot of users at this moment in time, and we didn't purchase the computer yet. No, we can just, yeah, okay, but we can use the public cloud. So when there is a burst of the usage, that surge of usage can be protected through the available elastic resource. That's often the purpose of that. So when for private cloud, it will be fixed cost, whether it is managed by them, by the organization or not. It will be fixed cost. Amazon may charge government, for this private cloud management. You know, the value cost is, I'm just saying a random number, like 100,000 per month. Okay, so that's a fixed cost, but the public cloud, pay as you go, so that will be on demand and the cost will be variable. So hybrid cloud, in terms of management, in terms of the operation cost, it will be fixed plus variable. So you might see these kind of features, private internal, public external, or private in the outside too, right? Private external, that can be also. Again, our focus is the inside of cloud infrastructure, not about the interface, but you still do the homework assignments that are hands-on that uses public cloud. For you to know, for you to appreciate the inside, you also experience outside as well. But our focus is really what's happening behind the scenes. What are the strengths and weaknesses? Can we do better? These are typical researchers, engineers' mind, right? Olympic athlete, the athlete's mind. The analyzing what are the strengths and weaknesses, what's available, what's not there yet. That's always, all research papers, we start with motivation and why this is not available, why this work is needed. The existing work can do this, but we cannot do this, right? Like that. We want to have a critical thinking. So you want to have an inquisitive mind. Want to ask questions, right? The why, what is it, and how does it work, and why? These are always good questions to have. Questions? So next, I think it's available on Canvas, right? We talked about the history a bit before, but let's just see the longer spectrum and related computing models besides the cloud computing. By the way, let's see. Let us watch another video together. Salesforce. Do we have a sound? Okay. So I want you to, like we have done before, I want you to catch some words, and I'm gonna ask you, what do you notice from the video? By the way, this is a video from Salesforce 14 years ago. Is that 14 years ago? So when is it? 2009? 2010? 2009, I already said. So it's before, it's really early on. People didn't hear the word cloud computing yet, at least for the general public?
Big ideas to streamline your business and drive sales through the roof. But to get there, your ideas need business apps. And business apps have always been too expensive, especially in times like these. Behind each one is a world of complexity. They need a data center, office space, power, cooling, bandwidth, networks, servers and storage, a complicated software stack, and a team of experts to install, configure, and run them. You need development, testing, staging, production, and failover environments. And when there's a problem, good luck. You call technical support, they don't know, so they blame someone else. Oh, and when new versions come out, you would upgrade, but that might bring the whole system down. Now, this is for one app. When you multiply these headaches across dozens or hundreds of apps, it's easy to see why the biggest companies with the best IT departments aren't getting the apps they need. Small businesses don't have a chance. Cloud computing is a better way to run your business. Instead of running your apps yourself, they run on a shared data center. You just plug in, like a utility. This makes it fast to get started and costs less. It's like Gmail compared to Microsoft Exchange. With Gmail, do you need servers and storage? No. Do you need a technical team to keep it up and running? No. Do you have to do upgrades? No. When you use any app that runs in the cloud, you just log in, customize it, and start using it. That's the power of cloud computing. This model is so much better, it's changing the way we think about software. Not just for consumer apps, it's also being used for business apps. We call this enterprise cloud computing. Businesses are running all kinds of apps in the cloud these days, including custom-built apps. Why? Because you can be up and running in a few days, which is unheard of with traditional business software. They cost less because you don't need to pay for all the people, products, and facilities to run them. And it turns out they're more scalable, more secure, and are more reliable than the vast majority of apps out there. Here's why. They're based on an architecture called multi-tenancy. With a multi-tenant app, there isn't a copy of the app for each business that's using it. It's one app that everyone shares. But it's flexible enough for everyone to customize for their specific needs. It's like a giant office building where everyone shares the infrastructure and services, like security, yet each business can customize their own office space. This means apps are elastic. They can scale up to tens of thousands of users or down to only a few. Upgrades are taken care of for you, so your apps get security and performance enhancements and new features automatically. Now, the way you pay for cloud apps is also different. Forget about buying servers and software. When your apps run in the cloud, you don't buy anything at all. It's all rolled up into a predictable monthly subscription, so you only pay for what you use. Finally, cloud apps don't eat up your valuable IT resources, so your CFO will love it. And you can focus on projects that really impact the business, like deploying more apps. Cloud computing is a simple idea, but it can have a huge impact on your bottom line. For more information, go to salesforce.com/cloudcomputing. You?
So what do you notice? Tell me, let me hear from students. Say something from the back. Yeah, you can. So from, any keywords or you find interesting from the video? Your name?
More secure, more reliable.
More secure, more reliable. Okay. Your name? Again, I'm sorry. JD. Okay. Thank you, JD. Yeah. You can sit down. Yeah.
It's difficult to maintain the servers and databases.
Okay. I'm trying to solicit responses from pretty much everyone.
Easy to access.
Easy to access? Yeah, I'm starting from the back.
No need for any updates.
No updates.
You can use directly login with our username and password. It's very easy to use.
Easy to use.
Costless.
Costless. This is a business video, and as an engineer and technologist, and the researcher or inquisitive questioning students, don't believe everything as it is. It may not be always costly, but at least it makes some sense.
multi-tenant.
multi-tenancy. Um,
What of,
what's it?
it's like, you can, it is asking support.
Oh, the support is not necessary.
Easy to access.
Easy to access.
Multi-tenancy can, most of the organizations can use the same cloud.
Yes, the same software used by other.
For what we have.
Oh, you don't have to own it. So it's a right. Yeah. Monthly
If you want
subscription.
access properly, it will collapse properly. If you want to access that properly, it will collapse the system.
I think you meant the like the. It used to be pretty hassle to manage a lot of software at the same time. Yeah. So actually that's a monthly subscription is a it can be good thing or not, right? The same thing can be said if this is just a monthly subscription, they cannot own it. So that they want to sell the idea of monthly subscription.
One app can be access to other organization, they can customize it according to their requirements.
Right. Yeah. So not all the individual installation, and also business apps they can customize for their needs as well.
Using it as a utility.
Utility.
One app, all performance it will take care of it.
One app, right there.
Actually-
Yeah. So management has become easier.
There are less problems.
Less problem. Yeah. Just
Easy to access.
easy to access.
Can access from anywhere.
From anywhere over network.
Save our time.
Management is easier. Okay.
Cost effective.
Cost effective. Not necessarily, but that's what they said.
Infrastructure is
Infrastructure is their resources available from
we
everywhere.
simplified the infrastructure into one entity.
Yeah, this is actually software as a company. They were selling software, the business, but they are not selling infrastructure as a service, but they are managing the infrastructure in a centralized sense.
Yeah, it's flexible. Like
Flexible.
one app multiple business can use one app with different functionalities.
Okay.
It is cost effective for the small business who are starting to grow.
Yeah, initial
Process.
Yeah, low upfront cost.
You can use either use a shared data set that is accessible to everyone.
Yeah, so over the network. Cloud actually to that concept, previously everything was exchanged. When we do the research collaboration, even writing, we used to do email, exchanges, and having a shared document was a really big thing. But
Can
you
we
might
say-
actually, yeah.
Can we say as public cloud too? That everyone is sharing like that and
Everyone is sharing. If they are paying, right? They meaning that everyone doesn't mean that I want to share. They just come. I want to use it. Behind the scene, there is a multi-tenancy, resource pooling, resource sharing, right? And then from the software side, the data, it's configurable. Sharing it may be good or not, of course, depending on the use, right? So for collaboration, we want to make the sharing easier. For security, we don't want some unauthorized entity to be able to access it, right? You might actually, nobody said it, but Microsoft Exchange now it's on cloud. Right? They were kind of dismissing Microsoft a lot, right? You can see also some of the SDK, all the version management, Oracle. The companies, they were really comparing, as a negative example, they all went to cloud and became cloud. So it's really amazing. In 2009, they have done this, and Salesforce Actually it is a company that made the word cloud computing popular. So for a lot of people, cloud computing, Salesforce is the company who made the word. Yeah, some people might say that. So really, this is a software as a service, a CRM company, and to be able to explain what cloud is, they actually not to be able to explain the cloud. They to sell their product that's on cloud. They popularized the word cloud to the general public. Of course, there might be many other people, but arguably one of the very first companies to do that. Even Amazon, they said that web service, they didn't use the cloud before Salesforce. Let's talk about a little bit on history. When people talk about the internet, the cloud computing history, you find that they talk about the internet history. Cloud computing, the resources are available over the network, basically the internet, right? So we can start with the internet history, but this is a still non-technical view, very high level, general public, or even from commercial view. Still, this picture you see a lot. When is the birth year of the internet? Tell me. 1969. How many nodes? 4 nodes. Okay. Stanford Research Institute, UCLA, University of Utah, University of California, Santa Barbara. So, the federal government, the Department of Defense supported these universities, research institutions, and to build a network. Of course, the idea of multiplexing, statistical multiplexing, compared to the resource dedication circuit switching has appeared earlier, but being able to, the internet has actually really good history and track record of getting things done. Really engineering plus science, or more on the engineering side. Not just keep thinking what would be the optimal way. Rather than that, let's build it. Let's see how it works. That's the philosophy attitude of the internet. So early on, the first experiment, they said the hello or login, but after first word, the system crashed, but they were all excited. Something was sent and received, right? So that was humble beginning. See another site. From West Coast to East Coast, were connected right next year. You see that just within a few years, it became really big. It's called the ARPANET. It's a network from ARPA, Advanced Research. I forgot the full names. Currently it's called DARPA. So, program agency. So I talked about where the cloud comes, why we call it cloud can be where the shape comes from when we say cloud. It's because the internet, the networking folks, networking community, we've been always using the cloud symbol to represent the network, or each individual network or network of networks, right? But still, somebody has to say that we've been using all the shape all the time, but we didn't really use the word cloud. Here's a cloud. We always say, here's a network, but over the time, around really late 2000, people started to use the word, and still going back, somebody actually claims that I'm the one who have used the word cloud computing, and here's a picture. Not many people actually they recognize it. He was the marketing executive at Compaq. Compaq merged with HP at the .com bubble. So during the dot-com bubble time, in the business planning document, he used the word cloud computing. So this is the earliest known use of the word, the cloud computing. So about the quick history, Internet was born in late 60s, 69, and then became pretty big. It's still government network, and then early 2000, late 2000, I should say, the mid late 2000, the national government, I mean the federal government, National Science Foundation, actually made this network. So it started from Department of Defense. Later, National Science Foundation took it over and funded a lot of universities for the development. It was again community network, but it opened to the public for commercial use, and that really, a lot of things together. But that is one of the key aspect of the IT industry booming. Dot-com was, dot-com boom. You probably every company. It's not just our company's Amazon. All the dot-com was a part of thing. Having the presence online on the web, it was important and very popular thing for companies. So business becoming e-business. A lot of money poured into, so that was a big boom. Who's this? Jeff Bezos. The first company name was not Amazon. It was this. How do you read this?
Cadabra.
Cadabra. Yeah. So it's from abracadabra. So one of his lawyers said cadabra, like corpse cadaver. So he realized that this is not a good name. And Amazon, big scale weaver, and also it starts with A. Let's use that. That's how it changed. Initially, it focused on online book selling. I was also one of the. I was excited to buy book online, textbook online. I think it's 96. Salesforce, the CEO actually was at Oracle, and Oracle doing CRM. Let me have my own business and put it on the network, and that was the Salesforce. Arguably, that's the first successful software as a service business. Subscription model was pretty new at the time. So as you see in the video, they say this is a very complete new paradigm of software ownership, management, operation, and the payment also is a different model, and it's a great thing. It may or not. Right? For the ISPs who have a lot of the so like Sprint at the time, or AT&T these days, mobile, all these internet service providers, how can they provide those network services? They have to have a lot of routers and switches connecting different cities. It's not like every 1 kilometer or 10 kilometer they are connecting with a wireline. That's of course wireline is there, but it's not the equally distanced routers. They put they call it point of presence. They didn't call it as a data center because it's a network center, but point of presence of network devices. And there will be a facility building, heating, cooling, power, and Kansas City has been the headquarters of Sprint, and there are other big cities where they have people to manage it and those routers. In those data center, actually it's a network center with a rack and all the heating cooling system. They could also have some servers doing hosting services. So the hosting services was emerging, and they had to do a lot of the fast provisioning because a lot of the usage was going up to increase. So that's what's happening. And then it's a network, not only connectivity, but also the hosting services was getting important. But .com bubble, the first stage, and this is something. Actually, I thought it's just interesting. Do you know this is a NASDAQ composite index, like going all the way up to 5,000, and it's crashed. What's the current index like? The 13,000, right? So it's double than that, more than the double. So
15.
It was going up first date, but now it's a lot higher. But anyway, it's a big change. So here the point is that a lot of layoff, a lot of the budget cuts and so on. So they have to really focus on the bottom line. How to reduce the cost. That was important. So it's economy of scale, consolidation. was becoming very important. Amazon. This is an earlier picture logos. A lot of people think that the AWS came out of the unused infrastructure. I was going to ask, maybe the payment. Can you read this?
Really guys.
Yeah, if you please read it for me.
Contribute all of those keys, components of that internet operating system, and with that we want to consume this much ordinary, which is AWS today, which is really to allow any organization or company or any developer to run their technology applications on top of our technology infrastructure.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So here, if you look at that, it's not that accidentally we had a lot of excess resource and decided to sell it. They actually had a lot of these key components is really important, and making this as a broad part of the big important mission was a earlier thinking. They planned. It's what they are doing, and it's from that Jeff Bezos. So you can say this is the kind of myth. This is a truth. So it's not accident. It's a planned vision of AWS earlier. But still, I recall that bubble time when I was doing my PhD studies. Some professor was doing like sabbatical in AWS at the Amazon. They didn't call it AWS, Amazon. So why is he doing sabbatical in online bookstore from as a computer science professor? They have been actually working on that already. Let me actually. Oh, it's already over. Just quickly, I was going to the computing platform too, the Azure. You see a lot of the logos changing over time. We are in the US, but there are other public clouds too. Current trends. AWS doesn't think that we are the only one, the biggest one, nobody else. We're gonna beat everybody. That's not what they're thinking. They are embracing each other. They know people are using multi-cloud, and if we provide more interface with the other resources, it's a better thing. Canvas, that's a trend too. To Canvas, it has a Zoom, Connecto, all the integration, embracing each other. It's important. So that's what customer likes. Next time, I will talk about the related computing models besides cloud. That's it for today. Thank you so much.